Hello, good evening and welcome to News at 10 on TV3 and 3FM 92.7. I'm Stephen NT. Let's begin the bulletin with the news that made the headlines. Ghana maintained the 26th position in the 2017 World Press Freedom Index with no incident of abuse, making it the second best in Africa after Namibia. Eritrea, the worst performing African country, is 179th on the index. May 3rd is set aside to celebrate the fundamental principles of press freedom as well as evaluate press freedom around the world. Workers of electricity company are demanding that government makes the revised concession agreement under the Millennium Challenge Corporation Compact to public. Meanwhile, the Africa Center for Energy Policy says a public listing of ECG on the stock exchange is the best viable alternative to increase investment in the power distributor. The University Teachers Association of Ghana, UTAG, has served notice to government to reconstitute councils of public universities or risk industrial unrest on various campuses. Its national president, Dr. Harry Agbanu, said the delay has affected the promotion of lecturers and approval of expenditure for the universities to operate. The Criminal Investigations Department of the Ghana Police Service has recorded a total of 186,434 cases in 2016 compared to 177,241 in 2015. Director General of CID DCOP Bright Odro, who disclosed this at the 2017 West Africa Police Service Association in Accra, credited the feat to increased skills upgrading and intelligence gathering. Those were our major news highlights. Up next is the big one. Remember, we're live on our Facebook page and you can hear us on 3FM 92.7 as well as on the TuneIn app on your mobile phone. Please stay. Welcome back. Now, the National Democratic Congress NDC constituency executives of the Nadole Kaleo constituency in the Upper West region are backing calls for their Member of Parliament Alban Bagbin to join the race to become the next flag bearer of the party for the 2020 polls. This came as posters with Mr. Bagbin, the second Deputy Speaker of Parliament, announcing his readiness to contest for the flag bearer slot of the NDC, made rounds on social media. The posters, which are circulating on social media with a picture of Alban Bagbin, have the caption "Bagbin 2020" with the proposed motto "Tried, Tested, Committed" beneath it. But it is unclear where these posters are coming from. And our constituency has thrown its full weight behind the longest serving MP to bid for the presidency on the ticket of the NDC. All right, so let's get onto the telephone lines to do some analysis. Joseph Kunuba is a special aide to Alban Bagbin, and he's joining me on the telephone lines now. Good evening, sir, and we're grateful that you could join. So your boss, is he interested in the presidency?
Good evening, and thanks a lot for catching me live on your flagship news analysis program. His work in politics has always been a call to duty. He was called in 1992 and he has served his people since 1992 till date. After every 4 years in Parliament, his people call on him to continue to serve them. If the people of Ghana are calling on to serve them in a higher position, why not? He has always availed himself to serving his people, and I don't think it will be something different. He will not disappoint Ghanaians if they want him to serve.
But we still want to find out from him emphatically whether he is interested in the presidency.
Right now, what the party is interested in doing is reorganizing itself. When that particular point in time comes where flag bearership race is open for contestant, it will come out clear that he's going to contest or not.
Right.
When we reach that bridge, we will cross it. But what I want to quickly add is that these calls have been piling up on him. The calls have been coming in from all directions, and this is one of the manifestations. He's absolutely not aware or in any way in the known of this poster cropping up. You know, he's a grassroots man. And at this point of desperation of NDC, where we've just come out of a heavy defeat in elections, if the people are seeing him as the person who, for 8 years of the party in opposition, among notable people, took the party from opposition, served it, and brought it to power. And at this point of desperation, the people are seeing that he is yet the only opportunity, the only choice, the person who occupies the middle ground to lead the party to power. Why not? He will avail himself to that.
It does mean that this has come to his attention, the circulation of these posters on social media and all. Has it come to his attention, and what's his reaction?
Yes, it has come to his attention just this afternoon when I also was bombarded with a lot of calls and a lot of WhatsApp messages on the poster. It has come to his attention. And his reaction is that he has noted the concerns of people, but he's saying that party faithful should concentrate right now on reorganizing the party so that we will have a better footing when time comes for us to open nominations for contesting and selecting who becomes the party leader come the next elections.
I know that as the longest serving member of parliament, and also he has shown over the years that he's committed to the party. Nurturing such an ambition is not out of place at all, but there are those who might say that when an experienced person of this caliber is removed from the day-to-day running or administration of parliament, it makes parliament, the institution, weaker. What's your view on that as an aide to such a person?
This was the opinion that should have been shared with people when he decided to contest again the last elections. He was lambasted for staying so long in power. So whatever you do on this earth, people are going to complain. But come on, he served in parliament since 1992. Till date, he's paid his quota. And if due to calls for him to reach another higher position, to serve the country better, I think it's only natural for it to be considered as more important. But well, he is always available, even if he decides not to go to parliament again. But he has, as you know him yourself, he is always available to impart knowledge on people who are ready to learn.
I want us to zone in a little bit on this particular posters. I mean, I do not want to ask you questions that seek to explore the competences of Alban Bagbin. That's far from that. But let's look at these posters. Have you been able to narrow down on perhaps a group of individuals or members of your party who might be behind these posters?
I think we also just got wind of these pictures this afternoon, and then we'll be doing our own investigation to find out about who is behind it and for what purpose and intent the person is putting up those posters. But the clarion call he's giving out to party faithful is that now is the time for reorganization of the party. If these are genuine calls coming for him to salvage the party from its dark crevices of opposition.
Of course, I mean, I do not delude myself with the reality on the ground that reorganizing the party is important, but choosing a viable candidate is also part of reorganization. So I reckon that if a group of people within your party are behind this poster, it is a reflection of the perception people in that category of party members, the perception they have about the competences of Alban Bagbin, is he going to ever say yes to lend his support to some of these posters?
That's why I said earlier on that his life in politics has always been a call to serve his people, a call to serve his nation. His success in politics has always reflected in the overall growth of the democratic process in Ghana. So if these are calls again coming for him to serve his people, his party, and for that matter, Ghana in a higher capacity, I don't think he has any moral right to refuse it.
And I know that on this line of reorganization, this is important to your party. And I must stick to that fact that reorganizing also includes getting a better candidate. In your view, do you think that former President John Mahama should be contesting 2020?
On my personal opinion, I think he had this is my personal view. I think he's had a shot at the presidency. And I think it's because of seemingly and now identified evidential disunity in the party that brought us to this end. Right now, the question we should ask ourselves is, we need somebody at the middle ground, somebody who pulls people from left, right, center together. Can we find that in our outgone president? Personally, I don't think so.
So your personal view is that your party needs a middle ground, somebody who
our party needs a middle ground,
who will appeal to the middle ground
and the people above and can bring everybody together.
Right. So let's zone down on that. So your view is that your party needs somebody who can appeal to the middle ground. Do you think Alban Bagbin is that person who can appeal to the middle ground?
Of course, he has lived most of his party life organizing the middle ground, organizing the grassroots. Remember, it is the people who invest power into their MPs to come to parliament. He has led these MPs overwhelmingly by their endorsement in opposition, and he brought the party to power. I don't think you go around any part of this nation across political divides and you mention the name of Honorable Alban Bagbin, and it doesn't resonate the name of somebody who has served his party, the grassroots, properly. He's a person, if you know him personally, he's an ordinary man, even though he has reached the highest point of one can think of as an MP. He's an ordinary man. He interacts with the people, he understands them, and he's always ready to offer a helping hand to people who need help. Yes, indeed, at the moment he's one of the grassroots person, if not the most grassroots-based person in the NDC.
Great. So it does mean that you might have some kind of association with people who think like yourself, who think that Alban Bagbin is the man who can appeal to the middle ground. So does it surprise you then, now, that with the view you hold, that a lot of people align themselves with this view and they might be the ones behind this posters?
I think it will also excite you to see Honorable Alban Bagbin contesting 2020, because you share in my opinion the opinions that I'm bringing up, that indeed he has worked hard for the party, he has helped the party from opposition to come to power, and indeed he's an ordinary grassroots member. Almost everybody share in those facts, and they are not contestable.
Are you behind these posters?
Not at all, not at all.
Do you know those who are behind these posters? I've asked this question
As I said,
3 times.
They just popped up, and we are going to check up on it and see who is behind it and to what intentions the person is having.
Right. We're grateful, sir, for your time. Thanks for joining us. Joseph Kunuba is an aide to Alban Bagbin, whose posters have popped up on social media, urging him to, contesting for the flag bearership of the NDC. My name is Stephen Enti. This is The Big One. Remember, we're live on 3FM 92.7 as well. We have more news for you. Please don't go away. Right, let's quickly get back onto the telephone lines and speak with Professor Ransford Jampo, who has some views over the popping up of posters bearing Alban Bagbe's name contesting for 2020. Good evening, Prof. We're grateful that he could join. So it does appear that the young man we spoke to, who is an aide to Alban Bagbe, is of the personal view that the party needs somebody who can appeal to the middle ground. He thinks that Alban Bagbe is the person, although, of course, he says he's not behind the posters. Do you think knowing who is behind the posters is relevant now, as opposed to whether indeed the man, Alban Bagbe, is interested in putting himself up for 2020?
Well, I think this is coming from just an aide. I don't know the position he holds within the party. And so ideally, I would have treated it with a pinch of salt. But I, as a political scientist, I also am not oblivious and ignorant of the fact that sometimes people resort to some of these acts aimed at just testing the waters and one's acceptability and popularity within the party. And so even though one can say, I mean, on the facial level that it is coming from an aide, I very much suspect that the man himself may be aware of this, and this is just a usual way of politicking with a view to determining whether one will be accepted when he throws himself out there. My little worry is that the Professor Kwesi Botwe committee, I'm not sure, is done with its work.
No.
And so I was thinking they were just going to wait till the findings are out, then they can dissect and know what went wrong, so that they will know as to whether their defeat could be fully laid to the doorstep of John Mahama or not. It is important for them, those who are seeking to put themselves out there, to appreciate this, that for the sake of their own cohesion and unity, for the sake of the togetherness of the party, they would have to be cautious. It's a political situation, and people have obviously the right to contest. People would have the right to put themselves out there to show interest that they may want to be given the nod to serve as the flag bearer. But I believe they will have to learn to do first things first. Otherwise, then they will shoot themselves in the foot. And they should also be aware that the popularity or otherwise of John Mahama is contingent on how well the Akufo-Addo administration governs the country.
Yeah.
And so if they do so well, and we were told there were so many alleged instances of corruption. I mean, if these things get unraveled and all that, and they govern so well, then of course Mahama himself wouldn't be popular. But if they are not able to do that, then the man will still stand tall among them. And it's important they factor all these before in determining whether they want to just do what they are doing now. But I think my advice to them is that Ghana needs a responsible opposition and a united opposition to be able to keep the current administration on its toes. And some of these tendencies, like it happened within the fold of the MPP when NDC was in power. I mean, NDC didn't get any serious opposition to keep them on their toes. And at the end of the day, it was Ghana that suffered. And so I'm expecting and looking forward to the MDC uniting, closing their ranks, waiting, doing first things first, and then being able to also ensure that the promises given by the Akufo-Addo administration are redeemed for the betterment of the lot of all of us as Ghanaians.
Right,
so
Professor
they learn
Jampo.
to do first things first.
Professor Jampo, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Professor Jampo is with the Department of Political Science, University of Ghana. Away from that, the Association of Oil Marketing Companies has challenged government to deal with diversion and illegal sale of petroleum products. At the news conference in Accra, coordinator of the association, Kweku Ajimaidria, noted the illegality resulted in a loss of 850 million cedis through tax evasion last year.
The association accused those involved in diverting petroleum products meant for export to landlocked countries to domestic markets. It again criticized them for using unapproved routes without going through customs to sell petroleum products on the local market. The association expressed concern the activities of the illegal operators could cause fire outbreaks. Kweku Ajimendua is a coordinator for the association. He again raised concerns the illegal activities of these individuals could make government to lose 1 billion cedis before the end of this year. According to the association, the government in 2016 lost 850 million cedis through tax evasion by the illegal operator. The illegality, the association indicated, could cause a layoff of 4,000 workers by the end of the month.
Right, we're trying to reach Kweku Ajimendua to get further clarity on this position, but we're not reaching him. We have to move on. Now, Ghana maintained the 26th position in the 2017 World Press Freedom Index with no incident of abuse, making it the second best in Africa after Namibia. Eritrea, the worst performing country, African country, is 179th on the index. May 3rd is set aside to celebrate the fundamental principles of press freedom as well as evaluate press freedom around the world. Let's quickly get back onto the telephone. We have Kweku Ajimendua from the Oil Marketing Association joining us. Ajimendua joining us. Good evening, sir. Thank you for joining us. Quickly, a whopping amount of 850 million cedis lost through tax evasion. You just disclosed that at your press conference this morning. That's huge.
It's huge, Steve, it's huge.
And how did that come about?
Well, basically, if you compare the figures for 2015 and 2016 on the volumes of products that we had in the country, you realize that petrol, we had a shortfall of 9%, and that of diesel, 11%. And that's where, if you do the math, you realize that we lost that value of taxes.
So I need to find out from you. I know this is a major problem, but there must have been some collaboration that you have with the MPA on this. Have you been engaging MPA on this very challenge?
We have written to MPA. We have consulted with MPA. We have deliberated with MPA. We have had a lot of discussion with MPA over the period, and they have been working on it. But if you look at the magnitude of the problem, it's beyond MPA. I mean, they have been doing their very best as a petroleum industry regulator, but the issues at stake now goes beyond that. It borders on national security.
So what really do you want the government to do in order to curb this, what I call leakage and illegality, which is costing us so much money through tax evasion?
And basically, if you look at it, the government has got the tools, the instruments, the resources. It has got all the ministers at its beck and call. And it's the government, especially the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the armed forces, who could take bold decisions and make sure that everybody who has got mandates to make sure that our borders are safe and secure are taken care of. And that's why we behold on the government, we rely on the government
right.
to be able to handle that for us.
I know that it's a government duty to strengthen their structures and all of that, but your association has members, and I'm sure your association may know those members who might be engaging in tax evasion. You should be naming and shaming these ones as a first step to prove to government that you're playing your part.
You know, if you know the people who will not even come out to have a press conference on this. I mean, the position we find ourselves is akin to you having stay in an area where there are armed robberies in the neighborhood. All you have is the symptoms of the armed robbery. You may not have a cure for it. There are people who really, all that you can do is give the police, the security people some clues what is happening. But
you are sacking 4,000 of your colleagues who you claim are involved in this. I must understand what collaborations you're having with the security agencies to clamp down on the activities of these people, starting from that 4,000.
You know, the 4,000 I mean, I let me put this right. It's the potential number of employees we have, which are going to be getting rid of by the end of May, if nothing happens.
Okay.
You know, the OMCs, we have our retail outlets and we have overhead in our offices. And that's the potential 4,000 which we are talking about, that information reaching us in our secretariat indicates that we are going to lose about 4,000 employees right from at the back of this. Because the illegal fuel is really destroying our business. If we are losing volumes in our stations, our retail outlets, just recent February, we just passed, we lost about 19% of our volumes, which is a clear-cut indication that the trend is going to continue this year if we don't stop it.
Right. Mr. Agyemang-Duah, we're grateful for your time. Thank you very much. Kweku Agyemang-Duah is the coordinator of the Association of Oil Marketing. My name is Stephen Antia, and that's where we draw the curtains, actually. Thank you for staying. There is more news at 3news.com, and thanks for tuning in to 3FM 92.7 to hear us as well. On behalf of the crew, good night.